All right, Brent Pourciau, TopVelocity.net. We're going to break down the pitch here on the left, compare them up with George Valenzuela. So we'll take both of them out of leg lift. Let's go right before they're starting to drive on their back leg. All right, it's about right here. Similar positions. I would say George, you can see definitely his front side, his front leg is more closed. So that's keeping his back leg in a more loaded position, or less chance that that front leg is going to start to pull the back leg out of that loaded position. You can see similar trunk orientations. George's glove is out and his glove isn't. Similar, I would say too, George's foot is definitely a lot more flush on the rubber than the picture here. You can see his foot is more off, so that means George is in a better position for things to turn over, which is what we want because that's what gets the hips to come around. So as they start to drive, you can see here George's drive, shin starts to come down as he opens up, pushes off. You can see him, the plate even kick as he pushes off into landing. See the picture here, as he starts to open, he drives, shin goes down. And at landing, he's a little more down than George. So his back foot is still more on the rubber. Definitely, more than likely, not as much force because the leg lands more 90 degrees. You can see George has got a little bit more of an extended front leg. And the picture here is way more closed, which is great, than George. George always struggled to get as much hip to shoulder separation as he could, but he was very explosive. So I think what George is doing better is he's more explosive and more in line with the target. This picture is more closed off of not as much as explosive. And two, you can see his hips are still just coming around. George's are pretty far around at this point. So a more closed orientation, but a more powerful lower half, more explosive hip. Let's see how that works out for them. So as we go forward here, you can see George, as he rotates, trunk starts to move out, arm lays back. As he moves to release, the front leg starts to extend, the trunk starts to get forward. If he would have got more hip to shoulder separation, he'd probably get more forward, but very explosive, a lot of energy. You can see this leg's coming in because all that energy is pounding into the front leg. Let's watch the picture here. Trunk turns, arm lays back, good forward trunk. Okay, similar position, good front leg extension. Very similar to ball release, even I like it better. He's got more forward trunk here. But you can definitely see not the same lower half, shorter stride, not as much recoil in the back leg at pitch release. So definitely later hips. The hips were late. His hips were earlier. We know with George, I think this was 94, 95. He was 5'9", about 185. So, but super explosive. So I think a lot of great things you're doing here. You're staying closed really well. Your trunk gets out really well. Your front leg stabilizes and extends, probably a little too vertical. You see George is a little bit more linear. Yours is a little bit more vertical, which is probably all just comes down to your backside. Like your back leg never really got as linear as George here. You know, at that same point, a little bit more vertical. And definitely, because you're hitting front foot and your foot's still down, definitely not enough power or as much as George. At landing here, you know, as his front foot fully secures, you can see he's more off, hips more round, you know, shin is lower. So definitely the key difference here is just more power in the lower half, which is something if you build would really complement your upper body and how well it stays back, and would just push more energy, way more energy for you up the kinetic chain. So things we do to work on that is like, you know, we do our stride accelerators, our top velocity sleds, even our, in all of our lifting, all that's going to be key for you developing that.